The Nintendo 64 was coined by Nintendo as the fun machine, and with 4 controller ports allowing for up to 4 players to take one another on, the name was apt. Without a doubt, the genres that saw the most love on the system were sports games and racing games. This upcoming list focuses on the latter, those Nintendo 64 racing games that deliver thrills, chills, and yes, even some wicked spills, to delight and to deliver awesome action on the track. With so many racing games to choose from, it was quite the challenge to limit this list to just 10 games, but here we are, and as a certain plumber loves to say, here we go. Taking the fast foundation that San Francisco Rush laid down before it, and expanding upon it in a stellar way, we have a sequel that's bigger and better, Rush 2 Extreme Racing. Rush 2 brings with it a full garage of souped-up rides to get behind the wheel of, in high-intensity races from all across the United States in locales like Las Vegas, Alcatraz, and New York, which can be played both forwards or backwards. These tracks feature plentiful shortcut opportunities and various routes to take, and one of the most fun aspects of the game outside of the stellar steering and driving is finding the hidden keys and Mountain Dew cans scattered in some seriously tricky locations in each venue. These unlock new vehicles for the track you find the keys on to help give an edge in races, between each vehicle's handling, feeling superb and striking a nice balance between realistic and arcade-like, as well as the well-designed tracks teeming with shortcuts. You have an absolute winner on the racetrack to start our list. Coming fresh off a game that will be featured later on this list, Rare and Nintendo took up the Disney license for a Mickey Mouse-themed racing game. Despite its license and cute appeal, Mickey Speedway USA could get devilishly and deviously difficult in later cups. The game's story saw Mickey and friends chasing after a group of weasels who dog-napped for Pluto and are parading around the United States, Alaska and Hawaii included, causing mayhem in their weaselly wake. Mickey Speedway USA sported 20 tracks from the easy accessible turns of Indianapolis that lead you into thinking you're in for a smooth ride, to the absolute Mickey Mouse bull of tracks like Oregon that will have you fuming and foaming at the mouth. That aside, with those aforementioned 20 tracks across 5 cups, 3 difficulties, and a battle mode a la Mario Kart 64, though this one can be played with bots, and you have a wonderful, if not sometimes maddening, racing game with Mickey and friends. Number 8 on our list is Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer 64. This Nintendo Software Technology, or NST, developed iteration of Ridge Racer stormed the circuit on the Nintendo 64 with all of the insane, exaggerated drifting, super tight cornering, and ridge racing one could ever want from the franchise. Spanning 20 track configurations across 3 locales, Ridge Racer 64's main mode was that of the championship, where prospective racers could get behind one of a handful of rides to start, with many more being unlockable through versus races against the computer mid-mode, and take on 3 races apiece. As a trio of races are completed, the next set of 3 opens up, and understandably so, things get progressively more challenging as the races progress. As for the actual racing, it's absolutely phenomenal. NST took notes of Namco's previous efforts and did its homework awesomely, as Ridge Racer 64 has an exceptional feel to its controls. Nintendo and Namco make it to the finish line in style with Ridge Racer 64. The 90s were the beginning of an era of extreme sports games, and that of course crossed over with extreme racing games as well. Basically, if you could race in it, some developer built an insane take on it. Hydro Thunder from Midway takes powerboat racing and thrusted players onto absolutely wild and treacherous tracks, from leisurely jungle cruises to absolutely ridiculous races through a post-apocalyptic New York. As boats speed through the waters both serene and choppy, numerous icons of the red and blue variety provide boost fuel for boats, and obviously collecting these is critical for winning. Not just that, but players can use this boost fuel to perform a hydro jump, allowing for extra height off jumps and a means to reach otherwise inaccessible shortcuts and alternate paths. A total of 13 tracks awaited racers in Hydro Thunder, spanning easy and medium, hard, and bonus difficulties, and a selection of 13 boats could be used, most of which need to be unlocked to race as, were available in Hydro Thunder as well. While the game wasn't as speedy in the frame rate department as its older arcade brother, and can occasionally get as choppy as some of the waters in the game, Hydro Thunder on the Nintendo 64 is a remarkably ambitious and fun port all the same. A long time ago, 1999 to be exact, in a galaxy, well, the same as this one, LucasArts released Star Wars Episode 1 Racer for the Nintendo 64. Exhilarating pod racing action permeated through every crack and crevice of this game and its abundant amount of tracks, offering breakneck speeds around precarious curves, corners, and through caverns and canyons alike. This was pure pod racing with little outside in the way of interacting with your opponents. This was fine and dandy, as surviving these dangerous races was challenging enough. Grand Prix mode wins not only netted new pilots and vehicles, but they also gave you earnings in the form of money, which could be used to upgrade your pilot's pod racer. This meant that even an objectively awful racer at the start of the game could rise the ranks to being more than worthwhile. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer delivered breakneck racing that mirrored arguably the best part of the prequel movie.
Yeah! I won!
Now this was pod racing indeed. Some games certainly date themselves and tie themselves to a certain time. In the late 1990s, Volkswagen's updated Beetle was a relatively huge craze. This even led to Electronic Arts greenlighting a racing game featuring nothing but Beetles. Enter Beetle Adventure Racing. While the vehicular variety is limited, as is the track amount, just reaching 6 total, this game was an example of quality over quantity, especially when it came to the tracks. The 6 venues essentially were the stars of the game to me, despite the VW Beetles getting top billing. If the aforementioned Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA had an ample amount of shortcut and route possibilities, Beetle Adventure Racing was absolutely embarrassed with riches in this department. Everywhere you looked or turned, a shortcut or alternate route presented itself, often providing players with plenty of bonus boxes to smash, earning them points that could unlock continue opportunities or even Beetle Battle arenas for multiplayer. The character in these venues was off the charts. Inferno Isle sported a Jurassic Park-like jungle, a Mediterranean town, a volcano, and pirate boats, all able to be sped through in the long laps the game was known for. Beetle Adventure Racing really took the adventure concept and went wild with it. Throw in the excellent racing part, and you have a superb Nintendo 64 racer. Ride the waves and take first place in this jet ski racer that released in the Nintendo 64's launch window.
Wave Race
64. Really, being so close to the system's launch was such a phenomenal feat, specifically how incredibly Nintendo nailed the wave and water physics of the game. The dynamic water tech and the way your jet ski maneuvered, handled, and interacted with each and every wave was not only technically impressive, but was just damn cool too to take in and play on. Though of course, if you were in the midst of a race against 3 other opponents, you'd have to focus more on weaving through buoys on the appropriate side or else incur a penalty. 5 missed buoys, and you were disqualified. 8 tracks were featured in Wave Race 64, and most of the time the venue was less the main attraction, as the type of serene or choppy waters you'd experience on them were instead. Depending on the size of the waves on a given lap, you could create some serious shortcut opportunities. 4 difficulties meant racers would be riding the waves for a long time, especially with how challenging and decidedly violent the CPU opponents could get. All in all, it makes for a riveting water racing game on the Nintendo 64, which has water tech that is unrivaled by many to this day. So many Nintendo franchises made the leap to full 3D in excellent capacities, and of course, Nintendo's fastest franchise around, F-Zero, made that jump both gracefully and with extreme speed. Yes, F-Zero got some serious boost power with F-Zero X, a racer that was bigger and better than ever before. It offered fully 3D tracks that looped, winded, and shifted all over, an insanely smooth frame rate, and high-speed racing that needed to be seen to be believed. Instead of just 4 racers to choose from, F-Zero X upped the amount to 30 and pit your pilot against all 29 others in death-defying races where each pilot put it all on the line to finish in first place. White Knuckle Racing was the name of the game, and F-Zero X delivered that in spades with tight controls, stellar handling, blazing fast speeds, and frenetic action. While F-Zero GX on the GameCube has higher highs, I feel F-Zero X still reigns as a champion for me, as it's more accessible and less punishing in its difficulty. Plus, I just love that butt rock.
Welcome to Mario Kart!
It's a him, Mario! And his racing franchise Mario Kart made the jump to 3D in stellar form, as well with Mario Kart 64. Mario drove so F-Zero X After could fly. Mario Kart 64 featured 16 unique tracks across 4 cups, Mushroom Flower, Star, and Special, and each supplied racers with plenty of obstacles, hazards, and tricky turns to take on with its 8 drivers. Mario Kart 64 was an exceptional entry in the franchise for not only bringing the series forward into full 3D, well, save for the rendered racers, but also for laying such a fantastic foundation for future installments. The karts in Mario Kart 64 felt fully realized in how well they handled, and performing power slides and boosts from them was a delight. Every aspect of Mario Kart 64 upped the ante of its Super Nintendo predecessor, and that included the multiplayer mayhem, now offering up to 4 players the option to be up all night playing. Grand Prix mode allowed 2 players to team up for some split-screen action, while the battle mode reigned supreme in the Super Philip household. Up to 4 players could burst one another's balloons with items across 4 battle stages, Block Fort being the obvious favorite. Mario Kart 64 continues to astound even decades after its Nintendo 64 launch, and while other entries have no doubt surpassed it, it remains a fabulous entry. Rare was on fire on the Nintendo 64, and part of that was because it had Nintendo for guidance. Nintendo's Super Mario 64 led to the, in my opinion, superior Banjo-Kazooie from Rare, and yes, Nintendo's Mario Kart 64 led to Rare's superior Diddy Kong Racing. Rather than limiting players to just karts, hovercrafts and airplanes were also ways to travel on Timbers Island, the locale of the game's innovative adventure mode. This mode took players through 5 unique worlds spread all across the island, and took a page from collectathon platformers, having golden balloons earned from victories on tracks, to be used to unlock doors featuring new races and worlds. The adventure mode included traditional 3-lap races, silver coin challenges where the goal was to collect 8 silver coins scattered around a given track and win the race, boss battles, also in the form of races, Grand Prix-style trophy races, and clever minigames to compete for pieces of the TT Amulet. The latter type of challenges were unlocked by finding keys, one hidden on a track per world. Adventure mode was such a novel concept and remains so to this day. Heck, speaking of hiding things, Rare even allowed adventure mode to be played by 2 players at once, and this was hidden behind a passcode. Diddy Kong Racing was so goated that a potential selling point of the game was totally hidden. Add in a cool item system where collecting similarly colored balloons powered up your current item, time trials spread across all 20 tracks, multiplayer offering the option to race on tracks with different vehicles other than the standard assigned one, 2 hidden characters, a second, more challenging adventure mode, and a slew of unlockable cheats. And you have not just my favorite Nintendo 64 racing game, but one of my favorite racing games of all time, with Diddy Kong Racing. We've arrived at yet another finish line for a Super Philip Plays Top 10 video, and somehow scraped by against plentiful, powerful rubber banding from some of these titles. Yet, we also saw 10 of the most awesome, exciting, and exhilarating racing games that Nintendo's Fun Machine, the Nintendo 64, offered in a library full of speedy winners. What about you, though? Which Nintendo 64 racers do you love the most? And are there any entries here you've yet to play and might want to check out now because of this list? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, I always appreciate you hitting those like and subscribe buttons. It's a major help.
This is for you.
Now, it's time for me to take a pit stop. Until our next time on the track and next video, have a super day.
You did it! You're the champion!